Good afternoon. Welcome to the 101st Annual Induction of members into the University of Wisconsin-Madison chapter of Phi Kappa Phi. My name is Will Schuth. I'm the president of the UW-Madison chapter of Phi Kappa Phi, and I work in the Office of Academic Information Management in the College of Letters and Science. The beautiful music we heard playing as we entered this virtual space was Rachel Reese playing Johann Sebastian Bach. Linguistics, in German. She plans to pursue a master's degree in music performance at Johns Hopkins University after she graduates next month. I'm delighted that we are sharing this time to recognize our outstanding students at the University of Wisconsin. We are proud of our students and their academic labor, and we recognize the community that has supported them in their path to and through the university. Our chapter has developed several traditions for our induction ceremony. One tradition is that we present a few awards to some of our members. We will also be recognizing and awarding Phi Kappa Phi membership to faculty and staff who have had special influence on our members. Finally, and most importantly, we recognize each of our newly selected members. These students' achievements merit our celebration. We anticipate that these students will continue to bolster the reputation of the University of Wisconsin as they move on to their next institutions and pursuits. Although it is primarily our student members who are being honored today, there are other folks who should be recognized for the important roles they play in these students' achievements. First, the family members and friends of the inductees who are watching from the comfort of home. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate the achievements of your students. A number of deans are also with us today. Thank you for your continued support of Phi Kappa Phi and its mission to let the love of learning rule humanity. I want to introduce the members of our Phi Kappa Phi Executive Board and acknowledge their service to our chapter of Phi Kappa Phi. Michael Childers is a professor and director of the School for Workers, Department of Labor Education. Ralph Grunewald is an assistant professor in the English Department and the Center for Law, Society, and Justice. Ralph has served on the board for 4 years. Elizabeth Kelly is a faculty associate in the Department of Economics and is the past president of the board. As I value continuity of knowledge and administrative practices, I'm particularly grateful to Elizabeth for her continued service to the board. Ernesto Lavorni is professor of Italian, comparative literature, and religious studies. Christy Burkholder is a faculty associate in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies. Julie Stubbs is the director of the Undergraduate Academic Awards Office. Lauren Silber is a recent UW-Madison graduate. She now works as a researcher in the Madison area. We are very fortunate to have, as active and contributing members of our board, several outstanding student vice presidents. Deborah Bellanzani is a PhD candidate in the Department of French and Italian and a future faculty partner in the Teaching Academy. Regan Beyer is a senior majoring in biochemistry and political science. Tessa Dorch graduated in December with a Bachelor of Science degree in neurobiology. Caitlin Morris is a junior majoring in marketing and management and human resources. Elizabeth Neary is a PhD candidate in the Department of Spanish and Portuguese. Janan Seuss is graduating with a Bachelor of Science in biochemistry. Mitch Wall is graduating with a Bachelor of Science in engineering mechanics. Debbie Cole is Assistant Director of the Undergraduate Academic Awards Office and is our chapter's Executive Secretary. Lastly, we want to recognize one of our board members, a doctoral candidate in educational leadership and policy analysis in the School of Education, who plans to graduate in May. I speak personally and also for the board, have been so incredibly fortunate to enjoy Brett Nachman's many contributions to the UW-Madison chapter and to have him represent UW at the national level. Brett is a thoughtful, collegial collaborator. We're going to miss his singular insight, preparation, and his dedicated spirit of improvement. While I'm very excited to see Brett take his next steps in his career, I'm very conscious that we are losing someone who has been a sterling representative of UW-Madison in every respect: academic, civil, collegial, and personal. Brett will be starting a postdoctoral research position at North Carolina State University's Belk Center for Community College Leadership and Research. And now I'd like to turn over the podium to present our Zillman Summer Fellow and National Fellowship nominee.
Thank you, Will. These cash awards help to finance educational summer projects that are not directly related to work done for academic credit. These can be enriching experiences that promise to broaden the students' overall perspectives and talents. This year, we are presenting one Summer Fellowship Award, and I'm pleased to introduce this year's Zillman Summer Research Award Fellow. Jordan DeWester is a senior studying tuba performance. This summer, she will be attending the Atlantic Brass Quintet Summer Seminar in Worcester, Massachusetts. You can find more about Jordan DeWester in your program. We also want to recognize our National Fellowship nominee. The National Fellowship Award is given at the national level. Winners of this award scholarship.
I just wanted to let you know. I'm sorry.
We also want to recognize our National Fellowship nominee. The National Fellowship Award is given at the national level, and winners of this award receive scholarship supporting ranging from $8,500 to $35,000 for their graduate study. In the past few years, many of our chapter's members have won this award. Elizabeth Sumik is our National Fellowship nominee this year. A National Goldwater Scholar, Elizabeth will graduate this May with a BS in Biochemistry. She has been accepted to Queen Mary University of London, pursuing a Master's in Global Public Health and Policy. Please join us in celebrating Elizabeth's achievement and wishing her good luck as she goes through this national competition. And back to Will.
And now, on behalf of the Honor Society of Phi Kappa Phi, I'm delighted to welcome our guest speaker this afternoon, Vice Provost for Teaching and Learning and Professor of Political Science, John Zumbrunnin. Vice Provost Zumbrunnin has received several awards in recognition for his excellence in teaching, including the Chancellor's Distinguished Teaching Award and the University of Wisconsin System's Under Koeffler Excellence in Teaching Award. He has been a leading campus pioneer of online teaching and is a former chair of the UW Teaching Academy. Professor Zumbrunnin was named Vice Provost of Teaching and Learning in June 2020, and in that role leads several key UW-Madison priorities, including education innovation, professional development for instructors, undergraduate research, and student learning assessment. Vice Provost Zumbrunnin was inducted into Phi Kappa Phi at Southwest Missouri State, now Missouri State University, in 1993. Please join me in welcoming Vice Provost Zumbrunnin.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Zumbrunnin. I'm a faculty member in political science, and I'm Vice Provost for Teaching and Learning. Thanks for having me here today. Let me start by saying, on behalf of myself and the Provost's office, congratulations on your induction into Phi Kappa Phi. This is surely a fitting recognition of your academic achievements throughout your time at UW, and in particular during this very challenging academic year, which is thankfully coming to a close soon. In recognition of what you've been through and what we've all been through, I've chosen as my theme for today, disruption, resilience, change. What I hope to leave you thinking about is how your experiences and achievements at UW before and during the pandemic have prepared you to cope with disruption, to draw on reserves of resilience, and to navigate significant and lasting change. I'll get to that theme more in a minute, but first let me acknowledge some important caveats. First, given what you've been through, a reasonable enough response to a university administrator like me waxing poetic about resilience in the face of disruption and change, a realistic, reasonable response to that would be simply to roll your eyes. I hear that, I get that. We've got a mountain of survey evidence about what students have been through, and I've been in lots of focus groups and one-on-one conversations with students. I know that the range of challenges you and other students have faced is enormous. I'm mindful of that when I talk about resilience. A second caveat, I don't mean to suggest when I talk about resilience and your experiences of UW, I don't mean to suggest, because I don't think it's true, that a university education is somehow necessary for a person to successfully respond to disruption and change. We have, of course, seen over the last year that human beings from all backgrounds and all walks of life find amazing strength and resilience in a variety of ways and from a variety of sources. But if we at UW have done our work well, then we've somehow helped you be ready for deeply challenging times like the ones we're in now. As I say in a moment, one way that we've helped you be ready, though, is we've helped you put your own life in your own experience in proper perspective and helped you always have an eye towards the experiences of others. And that points to a third caveat that I want to share about my theme of resilience, disruption, and change. Perspective is really important here. I'll say that I've experienced plenty of disruption and challenge in my own life over the last year. My wife and I have 4 kids. They're ages 13 to 18. They've barely been at school at all over the last year. It's been hard on them. It's been hard for Amy and I. Professionally, I've been in this job of vice provost since August. I've seen my boss, the provost, exactly twice during that time. There's about 80 talented, dedicated people who work in the division I lead as vice provost. I haven't seen any of them in person even once. That, of course, is far from ideal. And those 80 people I work with, they faced extraordinary professional challenges, helping instructors adapt literally thousands of courses to remote delivery, supporting students whose educational world has been turned upside down. It's been a really heavy lift, and they've responded in incredible ways. And then more disruption, these flags on the wall behind me, they represent for me some more professional and also quite personal disruption and loss, and maybe also a bit of hope for the future. Over there is Ireland. In summer 2019, I went to Dublin and Belfast with 20 incoming UW first-year students. It was an absolutely amazing study abroad experience. I was supposed to go on that same trip with another group of students in summer 2020. That didn't happen. I should have been scheduled to go with another group of students this August. That's not going to happen either. Over my other shoulder is Puerto Rico. Last spring, I taught a spring term first-year interest group course on citizenship and ecological restoration. That course was scheduled to include a spring break community-based learning trip to Puerto Rico. The 15 students and I were going to go down with another colleague and do some restoration work with partners in Puerto Rico. We found out 72 hours before our departure that we wouldn't be going. That same Puerto Rico experience should have happened this spring, and it of course didn't. And then right behind me is Wisconsin. When my Ireland trip was canceled in 2020, and when I knew it wasn't going to happen in 2021, I started to work on a new study away experience for summer 2021. The idea was that since I couldn't take students to Ireland, I'd go to the North Woods of Wisconsin with some incoming students, and we'd study indigenous earth ethics by interacting with members of some of Wisconsin's tribal communities. That seemed like resilience to me. I had adapted. I'd come up with a new plan. Turns out we're not quite far enough along with recovery from the pandemic for that to happen either. So I've experienced some professional loss. I've experienced some personal loss. It's been a challenging year, working on a year and a half for me. But I have to put all of that in perspective. My family and I are safe and healthy. My wife and I have jobs at the university that have allowed us to work safely from home with no loss of income. Our employer has provided us with free on-demand COVID testing for the last year. Our employer provided us with early access to vaccinations because we're both teaching on campus this spring. Our employer provides me with space and freedom to be professionally adaptive and resilient. I benefit from a lot of unearned privilege. And I share all of that as a way to say that as we reflect on themes of disruption, resilience, and change, it's really important to put the challenges each of us faces in the context of the privileges that some of us enjoy, to weigh up our experience of hardship and hurdles, to weigh those in the balance with the opportunities we have. I don't mean any of that to deny the experience of loss, mine or yours or anyone else's. I know that experience is real, and I know that the experience of loss is deeper for some of us than it is for others. And I, of course, don't know what each of you has faced in your lives over the past months. And with those important caveats in place, I still want to encourage you to embrace the amazing opportunity, the real privilege that your time at UW has provided you, and that your membership in the UW community will provide you for lifelong learning, growth, development of the sort that will allow you to meet disruption, to respond with resilience, to embrace change. But what does that mean in a concrete sense when we bring those abstract ideas of resilience in the face of disruption and change down to the ground, and we make a claim that your UW experience has helped you develop that kind of resilience? What does that actually mean? How might your UW experience help you make your way through a post-pandemic world? In one sense, the answer is going to be very much particular to you. The answer will be different, that is, if you're an engineering student than if you're a political science student. It's different if you're a musician than if you're in marketing. But we do, as a university, have a shared vision of what all of our students, really all of us who are members of this community, gain by being at UW. You might remember it from SOAR a long time ago, or maybe hopefully someone's talked with you about it recently. It's called the Wisconsin Experience, and here I'm gonna do the Zoom thing and share a screen with you. Bear with me while I get there. And now, of course, I've got to go full screen. So here's the website for the Wisconsin Experience. And again, I know this is a very Zoom keynote address, so I'm going to share this website. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and I'm going to invite you to go visit it on your own at some point. So the Wisconsin Experience here is described as UW-Madison's vision for the total student experience. And it says it combines learning in and out of the classroom with students engaging in these 4 areas of intellectual and personal growth. So bear with me while I talk a little bit about these 4 areas, these 4 pillars of the Wisconsin Experience, and how they bear on this question of resilience, disruption, and change. Let me start with empathy and humility. I've already suggested one way in which empathy and humility can serve us as we make our way through and beyond the COVID pandemic. We can, without downplaying or denying or setting aside our own struggles, put those struggles in perspective by trying to appreciate the experience and perspective of others. We can acknowledge the challenges others have faced, which may be different from our own, and we can appreciate and celebrate how our fellow human beings have responded. Whether you've enjoyed the kinds of activities at UW that are listed on this page as helping to build empathy and humility, your UW education has hopefully prepared you to make your way in the world with an eye towards the experiences and perspectives of others. I suspect it has so prepared you. I can tell you that when I talk with alumni or with employers, they often talk about this particular characteristic, about the empathy and humility that they see in UW grads. Let me jump next to intellectual confidence. If you look at the definition of intellectual confidence here, there's language about specific disciplinary confidence, about knowledge that you develop in a particular field of study. There's also language here about broader skills in critical thinking and communication. Those competencies and skills prepare you for a complex, challenging, dynamic world. They'll help you avoid being too reactive or being paralyzed by uncertainty. The confidence part here means you can face problems, face adversity without fear. Or if we back up a minute, since without fear is a bit too much to ask, and probably anyway not the best way to approach a world that we know has some very real dangers, maybe we shouldn't say without fear, but with the right kind and the right amount of fear. Again, a fear that's held in proper perspective by an enduring confidence in yourself and in what you know and in what you can do. And in thinking about that idea of intellectual confidence, we shouldn't forget the first pillar. The Wisconsin experience challenges all of us, and so it challenges you to balance confidence with humility, to balance intellectual expertise with empathy. You'll find, I think, that empathy and humility will, in the end, add to your confidence, and they'll make it more than just intellectual confidence. Next up, let me turn to relentless curiosity. If you noticed in the definition of intellectual confidence, it mentions sifting and winnowing. There's, of course, a famous plaque about sifting and winnowing on Bascom Hall. If you haven't seen it before you leave campus, you should go read it. The plaque says, whatever may be the limitations which trammel inquiry elsewhere, we believe that the great state University of Wisconsin should ever encourage that continual and fearless sifting and winnowing by which alone the truth can be found. That quote, which comes from an old university president, it's indeed about intellectual confidence, that fearless part of sifting and winnowing. But notice also that the quote says that sifting and winnowing is continual. If the last year has taught us anything, it's surely that the world about which we should be curious is moving, changing, surprising, even shocking. Just as we must balance our intellectual confidence with humility, we have to make it a moving, developing, dynamic thing by remaining relentlessly curious. It's been a few years since I was a college student, more than a few years. So I can say from my own experience that many of the particular specific things that you've learned at UW will, in the space of a very few years, be wrong, or they'll just be irrelevant. And that continues throughout your life. It's why your intellectual curiosity has to be balanced with, or your intellectual confidence has to be balanced with relentless curiosity. 5 years ago, I knew relatively little about Irish history. And then I ended up being curious. I learned, I ended up taking students there. 3 years ago, I knew very little about sand dune erosion in Puerto Rico, but next spring, fingers crossed, I'll be on a beach outside the town of Aguadilla working on a restoration project with students. For that matter, what I thought I knew about teaching 18 months ago has in some ways become irrelevant. And that's all okay. It's all good. The looming irrelevancy of some or much of the particular things you've learned shouldn't dent your intellectual confidence, but it should keep you on your toes. It should keep you curious. That relentless curiosity can also, frankly, keep you from getting bored when times are easy, and it will certainly help you make it through when times are not so easy. And now, finally, purposeful action. It's in the DNA of this university, purposeful action. It's that thing called the Wisconsin idea. The Wisconsin idea demands that what we do on campus it must have a broader purpose. The knowledge we discover, create, and obtain at UW should serve others. Originally, the idea was that the university should serve the people of Wisconsin, and it does that. But we've expanded the idea. Our responsibility, mine and yours, is to use the opportunity, the privilege of learning at UW as the basis of purposeful action in the world. I won't presume to know or predict what that means or will mean to you. I suspect the last year has shaped in large part what you see as your purpose in life. But in the end, you've got to find your purpose and act on it. I just mean to remind you of that responsibility. That call to responsibility. It probably sounds like a bit much. It's a bit much coming from me, from a professor and an administrator, and it might make you roll your eyes. It often comes, that sort of call of responsibility, in this kind of induction ceremony keynote address. But I'm still going to remind you of that responsibility. I know that you're here today being inducted into an honor society, in part because you're really good at embracing responsibility. I know that you've embraced and lived up to academic responsibility while facing a ton of other responsibilities, some new ones created by what we've all been through during the pandemic, and then no doubt some other responsibilities that are personal and unique to you. In that context of achievement and living up to responsibilities, you should take some time to relax and celebrate and take some deep breaths and enjoy what you've accomplished. And then you should get back to work and keep right on going. There's really no other alternative, and I know you're ready for it. So again, congratulations. I'm proud of you. We're all proud of you. The university's proud of you. Good luck with the end of the semester, and please, please continue taking care of yourselves and one another.
We thank Vice Provost Zumbrunnan for his inspiring and thoughtful remarks. Today, we would like to recognize 2 faculty and staff with honorary memberships. Brett Nachman will now honor Dr. Kirsten Brown, a faculty member in the Education Leadership Program at Edgewood College.
Thank you, Will. 5 years ago, in an effort to locate academic journal articles related to autism in higher education, which is a niche scholarly interest of mine, I landed on a few scholars' names. When I identified that Dr. Kirsten Brown, at the time a UW-Madison Student Services Coordinator, was one of those people, I knew I had to meet her. From there began a series of coffee chats that led to multiple collaborations, a most treasured friendship, and gaining a cherished mentor too. She possesses an unflinching commitment to teaching, demonstrates great compassion, and relays quick, witty quips aplenty. It's a sincere pleasure to recognize Kirsten as an honorary Phi Kappa Phi member, someone whose dedication to lifelong learning is guiding countless emerging scholars and leaders, including myself, to be our very best. Thank you, Kirsten. So next, in terms of our subsequent slide, thank you. Caitlin Morris has also nominated an individual, Elise Marifian, a PhD candidate in economics and a fellow in the Interdisciplinary Training Program in Education Sciences. So I'm going to read what Caitlin wrote about Elise. Again, this is in Caitlin's words. So please keep that in mind. Elise was a TA for my introductory economics class, my first semester at UW. It was a pivotal time as I adjusted to university life as a student undecided on a major, and her enthusiasm and kindness was absolutely inspiring. Elise led discussion sessions with much more clarity than anything I had experienced before, and was always present for students who needed help. I always left her office hours with a boost of confidence. Her enthusiasm toward the subject and teaching almost convinced me to consider a major in economics at the time, even though I knew that this didn't line up with what I saw myself pursuing after undergrad. I am so thankful for Elise's positive influence on my first semester at the UW, as it had a positive impact on the remainder of my time here. So there you go. I'm going to turn it back over to Will.
Before we come to the most important part of our program, the induction of student members into our society, we should briefly explain the significance of membership in Phi Kappa Phi. I am pleased to turn over the microphone to Student Vice President Janan Su, who will tell you more about the organization and the ideals it represents.
Membership in Phi Kappa Phi is an honor bestowed in recognition of outstanding academic achievement, and it is an honor bestowed in the expectation of future contributions to the community. The founding philosophy and expectation was that members will continue their commitment to excellence while applying their pursuits in a manner that will benefit the community at large. Another focus is on the unique potential possessed by scholars for contributions for the good of humanity. It reminds scholars scholarship is not that allows us to distance ourselves from society, and that heroes, almost by definition, are involved and concerned individuals who commit themselves to using their abilities to aid humankind. Such is the responsibility shared by members of Phi Kappa Phi. Phi Kappa Phi was founded in 1897 at the University of Maine by a group of students who felt a need for an honor society that would recognize excellence across the whole range of academic disciplines. Today, it has over 330 chapters. There are several benefits to being a member of Phi Kappa Phi. For all of you planning to start graduate or professional school in the future, we strongly encourage you to consider applying for one of the Phi Kappa Phi fellowship and dissertation fellowships. As a UW-Madison student, we invite you to apply for the 2022 Zillman Summer Awards. Additionally, as an honor society, members are entitled to wear an honor cord at graduation. Details about honor cord distribution will be emailed to you next week. If you are staying in Madison after this year, we invite you to contact Debbie Cole about serving on next year's executive board. I've enjoyed my time on the board and the opportunity to connect and network with more of the academic staff at UW, and think that it's a great opportunity for anyone interested. And with that, I will give it back to Will.
Now, at last, the induction of our new student members. We're going to scroll a PowerPoint of student inductees by class. Please feel free to clap and wave in the chat. Congratulations on your induction into the Honor Society of Phi Kappa Phi. These students were selected from the top 7.5% of their class if they are juniors, the top 10% of their class if they are seniors and graduate students. To our inductees, you have demonstrated that love of learning is an important motivating force in your life, and we hope that you will continue to search for knowledge and truth, not only for yourself, but for the benefit of the communities in which you live. In recognition of the qualities that led to your selection by this society, and by your participation in this induction, it is my privilege to declare each of you to be a member in good standing of the Honor Society of Phi Kappa Phi. Brett Nachman will read your name and congratulate each of you. Your certificate and Phi Kappa Phi pin is being sent directly to your address from the Phi Kappa Phi National Office. Family, friends, and inductees, please feel free to clap, smile, and balloon in the chat. Thank you.
All right, we're going to begin by listing all of the juniors. Elizabeth Caparella, John Carnahan, Abraham Carter, Blumis Chandra, Anna Christensen, Noah Eberhard, Jessica Furiansuk, Emma Forrest, Annabelle Frake, Mainessa Kaluri, Kelly Cook, Linnea Kronzer, Nicholas Kuzoff, Henry Laird, Daniel Ledden, Elena Lotto, Carolyn Lunning, Jasmine Maki, Angela Maloney, Nina McElladon, Albert Men, Haley Morrison, Jared Moyer, Joshua Merwin, Adam Nygaard, Siwei Kian, Ella Redmore, Allison Resnick, Eliada Roadheaver, Danielle Tolsman, Jillian Wedden, Grace Whalen Tweet, Sydney Wisdorf, Justin Yao, Sarah Zarvin. And now we'll move over to the seniors. Neil Biswas, Asher Kordemonch, Thomas DeGeer, Celia Golod, Maxwell Holprin, Elena Kazimadis, Derek Krismer, Jake Musla, Annalisa Stevenson, Elizabeth Summick. And now graduate students. Amy Adler, Marina Adrianzen Fonseca, Jonna Annenson, Joshua Bach Hansen, Zeta Balu, Megan Baumunk, Nancy Beal, Becca Beats, Abra Burkoff, Thomas Casper, Kirsten Conaway, Michael Cunningham, Anna Dinkle, Paul Donovan, Kristen Feiner, Kelly Foreman, Kristen Gajewski, Laura Goggins, Carrie Hanko, Caitlin Hanvey, Alicia Henson, Aubrey Jacobson, Megan Kotzer, Noman Kishik-Surin, Jason Koweski, Jessica LeClaire, Sarah Lent, Pema Lama, Heidi Lubenow, Alexander Malkin Mays, Utkarsh Maheshwari, Matthew Meyer, Savannah Mao, Edith Milam, Ann Minson, Peter Mosher, Addison Nace, Joel Nielsen, Sarah Rector, Stephanie Ricketts, Orion Risk, Kyle Roebling, Kirsten Rayler, Lauren Swans, Jason Thomason, Rachel Tilson, Taryn Valley, Angela Wolpachik, Maria Widmer, Karen Wolf, Matthew Zinsley, Zachary Zingler.
These are some of the very best juniors, seniors, and graduate students in our university. In closing, we ask you to remember the larger responsibility that has been placed on your shoulders by the talents you've been given, and by the family members, the teachers, and all of the other people in your lives who have helped you become the excellent students we honor today. Whatever profession or vocation you follow after graduation, we urge you to maintain your commitment to excellence in education, doing what you can to help future generations of students reach their full potential. And we ask you to recognize with us the need for well-educated people to use their talents wisely and generously in order to contribute to the betterment of society and our common humanity. On behalf of the Society, I want to thank each of you for celebrating this happy occasion with us today. Thank you all for being with us.